Hi, welcome to my channel. I am celebrating 20 years after getting run over by a van. So the plan is that I will release a little clip each day that I was in hospital. So I was in hospital over the period of 10 days, and then by the last day I'll talk about, how the event has impacted my life and where I am at the moment and what I hope for in the future. And the whole idea of this is that I can sort of explain or put to rest some of the stresses and the mess that have occurred out of this event, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff in my head, all and it's been 20 years and I'm still thinking about this thing that happened such a long time ago every day, just because of how it impacts my life at the moment. So today is 22nd of May 2001. I was 7 years old and I was on my way home from a piano lesson. So I'm just gonna find, where is it? Here, the witness statement. This is the only witness statement I have. There may be more. I've got no idea. It's all the documents I have, which are a lot, are all based around this court case that went on for 10 years. So it's a bit, it's very, it's like claimant, defendant. It's not really, it's not delicate. Anyway, so witness statement. I have a sore throat, so please forgive me. At approximately 5:05 in the afternoon of Tuesday, 22nd of May 2001, I was driving my vehicle along Meadowhead, Sheffield, heading in the direction of Sheffield city centre. I am very familiar with this stretch of road and have driven along it countless times. It was a clear, dry day and visibility was good. The road was dry and I would say that driving conditions were very good. As I drove along the road, I remember thinking to myself how quiet it was for that time of day. The Meadowhead Road is a dual-lane road in both directions. As the road goes into Woodseats, it becomes a single carriageway and merges into Chesterfield Road shortly after the junction with Abbey Lane. Just after the junction with Abbey Lane, there is a pedestrian crossing. It is on this crossing that the accident happened. Travelling in the direction of Sheffield, Meadowhead Road is a descent that sweeps into a right-hand bend when it reaches the Woodseat shops. The gradient of the road and the long sweeping bend gives good visibility of the road ahead and the pedestrian crossing where the accident happened. I was travelling at no more than 20 miles an hour, following directly behind a white transit van. I had already started slowing down as the road becomes a single carriageway shortly after this point, and the traffic can start to move around in the road a bit. I also know that traffic wanting to travel in the direction of Chesterfield Road can shoot out from Abbey Lane across the oncoming traffic. There was a bus in the inside lane travelling at about the same speed that I was, and we went round the bend in the road almost side by side. I would say that the van was initially about 20 yards ahead of me, driving at a faster speed than I was. As I was pulling away as we went around the bend towards the Pelican crossing, I would say that the van was doing between 30 and 35 miles an hour. From my position behind the van, I had a very good view of the Pelican crossing, and I could see that the lights were on red. I slowed down and anticipated that the van would slow down to stop at the crossing. However, the van did not slow down at all and continued onto the crossing while the traffic lights were showing red. At this stage, I was approximately 40 yards behind the van. I saw a lady and child on the central reservation. They were stood together and I think they were holding hands, with the child on the outside. They were walking off the central reservation, straight in front of the van. The van just seemed to keep going forward, and it appeared to drag the lady and child a short distance with it. As the van hit them, they just seemed to fall into the road together. There was a screech of brakes, and the van came to a halt, just past the crossing. I initially thought that the van had driven over the top of them. I did not see any brake lights come on the van until after it had gone through the red light. I stopped my car just before the crossing and put my hazard lights on to ensure that the pedestrians would be safe as they waited for the emergency services to arrive. The bus stopped next to me at the line of the crossing. I got out of the car and went to see whether there was anything that I could do to help them. I was first on the scene. As I approached them, I noticed that they were both lying on the floor, just past the crossing. Within a few seconds, several other people came to the scene to help them. Shortly afterwards, the van was moved about 30 yards down the road and parked on the pavement. The bus waited around for a few minutes before pulling away. I stayed at the scene for about 20 minutes to see whether there was anything else that I could do to help, and waited for the ambulance to arrive and take them to hospital. I did not notice anyone else using the crossing at the time of the accident. There we go. So, that's the witness statement. When I read it, I feel like I'm reading someone else's story because I don't actually remember it. So the next document I have is a discharge summary from the Sheffield Children's Hospital. It says, Rachel was an 8-year-old girl who was hit by a van whilst crossing the road as a pedestrian. On arrival of the ambulance, she was irritable and thrashing around. On arrival in casualty, she had a GCS of 9 and was breathing spontaneously, but had sternal recession with some airway obstruction. She was intubated and ventilated for a CT scan of her head. This was normal except for some fluid in the left maxillary sinus. Chest x-rays demonstrated a fractured right clavicle. She also had 3 lacerations of the arm. She was ventilated on intensive care overnight and reviewed by the maxillary facial surgeons and the plastic surgeons. She underwent a CT of thorax and face on the first day post-admission. This showed a fractured right clavicle with some small pleural effusions at both apices, with right upper lobe collapse consolidation. CT of the face showed a fracture to the angle of the right mandible and to the body of the left mandible. The fracture within the left body included a canine. There were also maxillary fractures. So, I don't really know what all of this means. I could probably research it, to be fair. I don't know what sternal recession means. Breathing spontaneously but had sternal recession. I guess that's a good thing because it says but. I don't know. And then I don't know what small pleural effusions are. And the right upper lobe collapse mandible. I don't know. I don't know. It's what I do know is that basically the injuries were I broke both of my collarbones. This one was dislocated, and then I cut the extensor tendon in my wrist, so I can't lift my finger up, and I couldn't straighten my thumb, and then I broke my jaw here and here, and hit my head. I think no one's ever actually explained this, but what I believe happened is that the van hit on this side and then I landed on this side. That's what I think happened based on where the scars are and the injuries I got and the direction I was travelling, because the way I was going home, so we were walking that way and then the traffic was going this way anyway, so it would have been, so it would have been, the van would have hit me on the left side and I would have landed on the right if I was standing on this side of my mum, I think. So I got, so broken collarbones, dislocated tendon, broken jaw in 2 places, and then a head injury, and then I had a blood transfusion as well. But we'll come across that as we delve further into the days. Finally, I have the newspaper report. This was actually released 2 days after, so I could wait 2 days, but I'm going to be nice. Appeal for action at accident black spot. A mother and daughter were seriously hurt as they crossed a busy road on the day a petition demanding safety improvements was handed to Sheffield Council. The 8-year-old girl remained on a life support machine in Sheffield Children's Hospital today. Her 39-year-old mum has been transferred to a general ward after initial intensive care treatment at the Northern General Hospital. The pair, who are not being named, were involved in a collision with a lorry at a Pelican crossing on Chesterfield Road, Woodseats, as they walked home after the girl had attended a piano lesson. Police said they had crossed on the section of a dual carriageway near the Abbey Lane junction, and the collision happened on the city-bound carriageway. Today, the girl's father said the accident happened on the day a petition was handed over to the Sheffield Council complaining of 38 collisions in the area since road safety improvement work was carried out 2 years ago. I don't have a Yorkshire accent, but my dad does, so I'm going to read this in my accent. Okay. I had wanted to sign the petition myself, but it had already gone off to the council, he said. All the crashes had been cars either colliding with other vehicles or hitting parked cars. When the petition was handed over to Councillor Andrew Sangar, a campaigner said, "It's nothing short of a miracle that no pedestrians have been involved. We are not prepared to just wait until someone is killed before something is done." Surgeons operated on a serious gash to the girl's wrist, and her dad said the doctors were hoping she could be taken off the ventilator later today. Her injuries include fractures to her collarbone and jaw. Her mum's injuries were less serious, and she is now recovering from a broken foot and other cuts and bruises. Police are still investigating the circumstances of the crash, which happened at around 5 p.m. on Tuesday. So that was the news report. I don't really have an opinion. It's just a news report. So yeah, that's day one. Day two is probably going to be really short because I was in a coma. I think I only had like surgery or something. I don't remember it. But day three is fun because that's the day I woke up. I believe that's my earliest memory of it happening. So that'll be fun. Yeah, so if you have any questions, leave a comment, send me a message, whatever, don't care. Yeah, and I don't mind having a go at answering some of them, and I'll see you tomorrow.